Unlocking the book of Amos. So what was the background of the northern kingdom of Israel? Well, we could consider that after Solomon's death, when the kingdom split and Jeroboam I took over the north, he prevented his people from worshipping in the south, in Jerusalem, by building two rival sanctuaries, one in the north in Dan and one in the south. And he used idols, calf idols, to claim that these were Israel's true gods. Now, some would argue there's some truth in this, although it's more than likely that this was stopping the people going down south to Jerusalem to worship. After Jeroboam I, Israel had a succession of kings, and one of them married his son Ahab to a princess called Jezebel. She in turn introduces the worship of Baal, which became a major religion in Israel at that time. After the death of Ahab and Jezebel came their victor, Jehu, and it was his actual reign that led to his grandson, Jeroboam II, being king at the time of Amos. Now Jeroboam II restored much of Israel's lost ground, and he restored her boundaries. And there was even some signs of mixed religion enthusiasm, just like in the good old days of Jeroboam I. It's into this we have Amos, who is not only from the south, but he was called by God to go north into Israel. And he was a new kind of prophet for his day, because he preaches the message that God is about to destroy his own chosen people. It's more than likely this is the reason why these words were written down, recorded so well. You see, Amos preaches that God is the judge of all nations, including Israel. Nevertheless, the special relationship that exists between God and his chosen people Israel does not mean that Israel will be spared. Instead, Israel will be judged first. Because you see, with the privilege of being God's special chosen people comes the responsibility of dealing with sin. The overriding theme in the book of Amos can be found in chapter 5, verses 24, where it says, "But let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never-failing stream." Amos called for God's social justice. He declared that God was going to punish the unfaithful, disobedient, covenant-breaking people. See, Amos's time was an actual time of political tranquility. There was peace. There was economic wealth. For many, there was social luxury. But it was an undercurrent of ruthless capitalism and judicial corruption and personal and moral bankruptcy. Needless to say, Amos's name means burden bearer, so it fitted in quite well with his job description. And although he wasn't a priest like Ezekiel or Jeremiah, nor was he an aristocrat like Isaiah, we cannot ignore Amos and put him down as a simple peasant, because it's quite clear that God used Amos. Amos was a spiritual and thoughtful person. And he himself was alarmed at the fate in store for God's chosen people if they did not reflect the justice and righteousness that was basic to covenant law. As we turn into the text, it's well worth reminding ourselves that Amos endeavoured to set immorality and corruption of not only the life in Israel, but Amos was also speaking to the south. And the same God that Amos is speaking about in the Old Testament is the same God that we worship today.